Kyle Whittingham. You know what? Does this happen before when he came out and he was like, oh, I don't know if we'll be playing BYU. That's not a terrible Whittingham impression. I don't know if we'll be playing BYU in a couple years. Like, I thought it was weird, right? Some people were like, oh, it's taken out of context. I went back and listened to the clip and was like, he didn't have to say that. He could have said, we're excited about the ongoing rivalry between BYU and Utah. We're going to curate this to be one of the best matchups in the league. Give me a little juice. He didn't do that. Then the freaking Kyle Whittingham. It's like I'm just asking for Kyle Whittingham to be normal. For 1 week, if Kyle Whittingham could just be normal. I've always liked him. He's like this weird, he's kind of like the Gundy of the West, where he says something and you're like, that's just Uncle Kyle. It's just kind of what he says sometimes. But why is it always now about expansion? Because they were like, reporter. He sounded like a young guy, kind of quirky. He was like, hey, so how do you feel about UCLA not being in the Pac-12? This is going to be one of some of your last matchups with UCLA. Is that weird? He's like, oh, yeah, we'll be playing them in a couple years. What? Who invited Utah to the Big Ten? And I know what you're all, there are Utah fans that are screaming. And remember, we made amends. I don't hate Utah anymore, right? We're friends. I never did hate Utah, but we made amends. We're friends. I was blown away. He did this again. There's no saving him. There's no, it was taken out of context. Why is he so pushed back against the Big 12? Why is he so anti-Big 12? Like I loved it. It was a quote from Chris Del Conte. He said on ESPN Central Texas on our radio show, he said, when we think about the SEC, we just don't. We think about where our feet are. Texas is thinking about where its feet are. Whittingham's not thinking about where his feet are. Yeah. He's not thinking about that. He's not thinking about the Big 12. He's not thinking about the Pac-12. For some reason, he is thinking about 3 or 4 years from now and how UCLA and Utah will somehow be in the same conference. Is he already plotting leaving the Big 12? And again, you can pull the whole like, oh, he was being facetious. He was stirring the pot. No, he keeps doing this, Jazz. It's just weird. Why can't he just be happy with the Big 12? Why does he have to keep expanding? Is he pissed off at expansion still? Is Utah really pissed off still at expansion? No, and I get it to an extent, right? Like if somebody came in and uprooted my favorite team from its conference and I lost all this history, but Utah hasn't been in the Pac-12 that long. And I know why there's loyalty to the Pac-12 for Utah fans, because you're thinking, hey, this is the conference that pulled us out of the group of 5. This is the league that helped pull us into relevancy and maybe even help us, try to overtake BYU. I understand why you would like that, why you would miss that. But I remember, going to school at Baylor. When I was in school at Baylor is when Texas and Oklahoma left the Big 12. And I thought, oh, wow, I would love to go to the Pac-12. I would love to go to the ACC. I would love to go to the SEC. I mean, anybody that would take Baylor, I was overjoyed. If the Big 12 was going to fall apart, I was just hoping that my favorite team got to stay in a Power 5 conference. Hey, Utah, your favorite team got to stay in a Power 5 conference because the Big 12 said, you know what, fine, we will be your lifeboat. And then Utah was like, we don't really want to get on a lifeboat. Like, it's the last lifeboat. It's this or you jump in the water. And Utah was like, dude, the water looks good. I don't know why Kyle Whittingham's still doing this stuff. Is Utah planning to leave the Big 12 and go to the Big 10? Is there something we don't know about them playing UCLA in the future? You know what? It's just, to me, it's crazy because you don't have to say this stuff. You can just not. That's always an option on the table here. And I mean, looking forward in expansion for the Big 12, it's inevitable that it'll keep going, right? There's going to be more things are going to occur that add ACC teams, and it feels like the likelihood of UCLA and Utah playing in a few years is just so out of the realm of question. The Big 10 is not going to pull Utah away from the Big 12. And maybe even a bigger question in this whole deal, and maybe I'm a conspiracy theorist, I'll put on my tinfoil hat for this one. How much longer is Kyle Whittingham going to be at Utah? Do you think he's saying this stuff? Do you think he is truly just stirring the pot or being a conspiracy theorist with knowledge that, hey, yeah, here in a few years, I'm not going to be, or even at the end of the year? I've heard from so many, JT Worcestershire. Is that how you pronounce Worcestershire sauce? Whatever it is. On Locked On Utes, we had the conversation of, do you think he's still going to be here at the end of the year? And he's like, even I've heard murmurs. He's heard murmurs that Whittingham's just going to hang it up that he's close to retirement. He's going to, ride off into the sunset, and he feels like he's been here too long. He's too old to lead Utah into the Big 12. Hell, I'd love to see Whittingham in the Big 12. I'd love to see him lead Utah into this next chapter. Will we? Is this his big elaborate thing to be like, you know what? I'm going to be the crazy drunk uncle. Not drunk, he's sober. I'm going to be the crazy uncle. I'm going to play some tricks. I'm going to come out and say things that don't make any sense. I'm just going to be a little whimsical, and I'm going to pull out, and I'm good. I'm done. You guys have fun. Is that what this is? Can somebody help me out and explain to me why Kyle Whittingham is being the way that he's being continually? Because you all told me that it's facetious, that he was taken out of context about what he said about BYU. Utah is still happy to be in the Big 12. They're not scared of BYU. Then why does he keep running away from the idea of being in the Big 12 so much? And again, you can make the case that he's just saying college football is crazy. Anything can happen. But no, he's making the case that Utah will play UCLA in a couple years. This could be a real thing. This could really happen. Why? How? What does he know? Does he know something? Or is he just talking out of his butt? Is he blowing hot air up our skirts? And if he is, for the purpose of what? What does it gain him? I don't know. What does it gain us? Confusion. Utah, do you want to be here? Do you not? That's my question. Make it make sense, please. Kyle, if you're listening, give me a call. We just need to talk. And if everybody else who's listening, thanks for making this your first listen every single day. I don't know if I've said that in the middle of a show before. I just wanted to thank you. I was just feeling real thankful right now. I'm also feeling thankful that the Big 12 released a video of its new basketball schedule. That's next on Locked On Big 12, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.